Okay, well, our cultural committee, initially our name was the Cultural Awareness Celebration Committee. And it was several years ago that we did a presentation in our site, and we got a guest speaker that was introduced by Carlos La Madrid, and his name was Larry Bear, and he did an amazing presentation. Probably you can see him in the picture that is in the screen. And several months after that, he passed away. So we decided to honor him and his legacy. So we adopted the name Oso Negro, which means black bear. This presentation was one of the many that we had done through the years. Oso Negro, this is an internal committee, and we've been in existence about 11 years. We have organized St. Patrick's Day, Women's History Month, Dia de los Muertos, Black History Month, the LGBTQ History Month, Native American, the Chinese New Year. I mean, we have done a lot of these presentations. And what is the key element of this committee, which we encourage? I know that in the Cultural Competence Committee, we have several people from nonprofit groups. And traditionally, we all do a lot of outreach events, everything up there. But internally, in our workplace, we have a community already. And that community is a reflect the community at all. And we thought that it will be good to keep it internal, so it will be simple. And we will highlight different celebration, and we will look within our staff who have the knowledge and the skills and can promote the cultural understanding. So with the blessing of the administration of our building, because this happens at the Myers building, we've been doing this for about 11 years. And the presentations involve, of course, culture without food is not culture. So we try to balance the food with the theme. We also have music, artifacts, and it really pay back, because before, we're just people in the hall. So we get related to each one, and that ended up with resources, because when people open up, they, their heart, they don't see a border. They just want to collaborate. And sometimes we stereotype, and it's not in purpose. It's just because we don't know. I remember one time when a coworker, she came very pretty with all these beautiful outfit, flowers in her hair. And I said, oh my goodness, how pretty you are today. You look Hawaiian. And she got very kind of serious. And she said, I am not Hawaiian, I am Samoan. And you see, and that was the beginning of a journey where then we find out that she have a dance group, a Samoan dance group. We did a presentation about the Samoan culture. She danced in the presentation. And later on, we have an event in our clinic, and her cultural group was basically able to donate all the food that we needed. But before that, it was just a body walking through the hall. So it's very important to acknowledge our workers because they are a reflection really of our community. Something that we didn't want to skip is that we always include the mental health aspect in the presentation besides arts, culture, food, and it is how do we treat or approach people from different cultures, because all size do not fit everyone. And I am so happy about that, because we are all unique, and that uniqueness we contribute to what we call our community. And our community is diverse and full of resources and things that if we practice, because diversity, being a cultural competent person is not a training. In a way, I don't like trainings, because cultural competence is every single way that you experience since you wake up in the morning. What you heard in the radio, when you come out, and becoming a secret agent of your personal behaviors and approach and stereotypes. They're gonna come out in our minds anyway. But what do you do with that thought? And in walking the talk, like our Native people focus, I think that is the best way to become a community and become cultural aware. That doesn't mean a training helps. Yeah, it does, but it's not, it is very naive if we think that it's gonna work like that. You have to work by experience. So I just want to finish this piece, and Amensa will be with you with some a very awesome sample of one of our presentations. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Luz. Thank you for all that, for kind of explaining. Do you mind muting yourself? You gotta mute yourself, Luz. It's kind of echoing. Okay. Hello?
Okay. I mute myself.
Okay. No, I don't know if you did.
Mute yourself, and then someone turn their computer down.
Okay.
Myself?
I think you got to turn your computer down a little bit. No, your computer, like your volume on your computer, if you can turn it down. Okay, I think that's better.
That is.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, you sound good.
Yes, you're good.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. Okay. So again, my name is Ameza Ogbor, and I just wanted to, in honor of Women History Month, just discuss a presentation that has been done in the past that we got a lot of good takeaways from. And so one of these presentations was called A Woman in Islam. And so this presentation was actually conducted by Miriam Aga and Sulafa Asud. And luckily, I still am in touch with Miriam, and I did get the presentations that she did. So I do have it for Selena to send to whoever wanted after the meeting. And so one of the things, so I'm going to be talking mostly about the key takeaways that I got and the committee as a whole got out of this presentation. So one of the main takeaways was the fact that Islam covers many lands, many diverse cultures. And so I put in here borders from Arabia to the coast of Africa, Bosnia, Indonesia. And if you notice, I put a picture of the world because really Islam is all over the world. So it's not necessarily just in these areas. So that's where that picture came from. And then also the other statement that was really important was, in addition to the political systems, national heritage, belief systems, and geographic locations and historical backgrounds, this all makes it difficult to see all Islamic people as the same, because diversity, belief system, geographical locations all make a difference in how Islam is practiced. And so, for example, I put the fact that I'm Catholic and I've lived in different countries. So just to let you guys know, I was born in Sweden, I lived in Norway, and I lived in Nigeria, and then I moved here. And so, and I've been practiced Catholicism throughout my life. And so Catholicism looks different in Norway. So I remember when I lived in Norway, around Christmas time, there was a celebration called Santa Lucia, or Saint Lucio, where it was honoring a martyr who died due to her being Christian. And so there's usually a procession in the streets, and little girls wear lights on their head. So that's a specific practice that's done in Norway and other Scandinavian countries. And then in Nigerian culture, and also just overall in African culture, there is the practice of Thanksgiving. So what Thanksgiving is, if you have some accomplishment in your life, so let's say you have a new job, marriage, child, you announce it in the church, and then there's a celebration in church. So the priest blesses you, you bring food, they pray, and then you do a celebration afterwards. And so that's very unique to Nigerian and African culture. So that's kind of a description of how Catholicism, even though some of the practices are the same, culturally it looks differently. Okay. And another key takeaway, do you mind turning it down a little bit? Another key takeaway that I got it was a very important statement. And I don't know where the source came from, but I thought it was pretty powerful. So it says, it's the duty of every Muslim, male or female, to honor women, treat sons and daughters justly, and for the male to provide support, not obstacles, for women and their achievement. So I felt that was a very powerful statement. Then there was a discussion of famous Muslim women. And so I kind of have some of them here. So we have Ashia Sari, who was the first Muslim astronaut, Ibtihaj Mohammed, who was the first Muslim to compete in the Olympics wearing hijab, and Benazir Bhutto, who was the first Muslim prime minister, I think from Pakistan. And so another thing I wanted to add is just wellness tools. Kind of what Luz was saying is that part of the presentations for Oso Negro includes providing artifacts, food, and then talking about a specific cultural group. Then the other part is talking about wellness tools, mental health tools for that group. And so I wanted to include that in there. So the organizations that I found include Nashi.org. And so this is a confidential helpline for Muslim youth in Canada and the US. Then there also is the Family Institute, which is a resource for Muslim parents on how to engage and communicate with their teens, especially those who are struggling. Then there's also Heart to Grow. And so this promotes sexual health and sexual violence awareness in the Muslim community. And so if you do get the presentation, there's hyperlinks that you can get to these different sites. Okay. And then another wellness tool is the Muslim Alliance for Sexual and Gender Diversity. And so this organization empowers and connects LGBT Muslims And there's a retreat that's done in May for them, which due to COVID, probably Zoom or with social distancing. Okay.
Yes. Amesa, can you help me?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, Luz, thank you.
Okay, well, just following this amazing month of Women History Month, and this morning I was listening to the radio and to the public radio, and there was a presentation about the importance of paying females that are raising children in their homes, which we've been doing that job for free. And I think that there are so many progressive ideas that it will take a time, but there is hope. And in that hope, I just want to ask the group, but I really would love to hear Amense. Amense, can you mention a woman that inspired you and why?
Okay. Do you know how to mute it? Okay. Let me just come that way. All right. Okay. Could you? You're not.
I don't.
It's okay. Okay. So for me, I would say a woman that inspires me is my mom. And the reason why I say my mom is that when she was in her 20s, her and my dad received scholarships to study abroad. So my dad got a scholarship to go to Denmark. My mom got a scholarship to go to Norway. And so why that's very inspiring to me is that they did not have any relatives in Scandinavia, Norway, and Norway and Denmark. They didn't know anything about the land. They didn't know the culture. They didn't know how to speak the language, but they moved because they wanted a better life for me at the time, who was a baby. And they were able to learn the language, learn the customs, and they were able to get their degrees and graduate from the schools out there and live there for about 7 years. And till this day, my dad unfortunately passed away, but my mom still speaks Norwegian. And I think she understands some Swedish and her native land of Edo. She understands and speaks that too. And she still goes back there a lot and has friends and roots there. So I think that just inspires me to kind of do the best that I can and to try and exceed in everything I can do. And also just support of friends and family is very important. So that really does inspire me, because that is a lot to leave your homeland and just form another life somewhere else and still be successful and achieve greatness. So, yeah.
Thank you, Amense. Now I want to hear people from the floor, from the meeting, who may want to share. Okay, Glenys.
Yeah, I wanted to also, the same as Amense, there's many women that I do admire, and they're public figures, but I think the most that the age that I am, the woman that I also admire the most is my mother, because I could not even think how she made it to this country from Honduras, fleeing a relationship with my husband that I learned as an adult that she left him because of abuse, domestic violence, and she left us, me and my other two siblings very young with our grandparents, not knowing, like many people that come to this country undocumented, not knowing the language, not knowing where she was going to land. But she was brave enough to make that journey across Guatemala, Mexico, and landed over here in California. And her dream later on became my dream. Although when I was young, obviously, I did not want to come here. You know, I cried my eyes for almost a year when she brought us over here because I wanted to go back. I was so depressed. I was so homesick that I wanted to go back. And I remember my mother telling me one day, after almost a year of me crying almost every day that I wanted to go back home, that, okay, she was like, okay, that's what you want to do, then I'm going to send you back, you know. But by then, I had already started making friends in school, right? So I was like, no, I don't want to go, you know, I don't want to go. I just want my grandparents, you know. Luckily, my mother was able to get her immigration papers. And that's how, you know, she brought my other my two brothers over. And there's not a day that goes by that I want to honor her sacrifice. You know, I want to be able to accomplish a lot of the things that she was not able to, because unfortunately, my mother passed away at age 46. So was very young. And so I want to be able, I wish, you know, that she was here to see the things that we as her kids had accomplished. And she's the woman that I do admire. I admire, and I want to make her proud. And I know she's proud, you know, so yeah.
Thank you so much, Glenys. I want a couple of more people, and including males, is not, you know. So anyone else that may want to share a woman that inspire them? If I don't see hands, I will call people. Carlos La Madrid.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Luz. Thank you for everybody that's honored your loved ones like that, your sheroes, and those people that made those sacrifices like that. So my great grandmother lived to be 105, and she was a very basic, humble woman. And I was sharing about her recently. You know, didn't have what you call a formal education like that. But she got to see a lot of things in her life. And she lived a very basic life. Like I said, she still cooked with cast iron stove, you know, to basically till she passed. And actually she passed by going to the doctors, you know, which is the irony, you know, because she always lived off the land and home remedies and things like that. But her going to the doctors is what actually ended up costing her life. But I just remember her being very, when I was around her, she would always greet me by just touching like my cheeks. She would grab me and hold me. She did that to a lot of people, but just kind of holding your face. So I remember her touch, her wriggly hands, but just the fact that she lived that long and she didn't complain about things. You know, she was always early before sunrise, 4:30 in the morning, you know, getting things ready. And I had all these names for her because she always had animals around where she lived. So I would call her my grandma of the chickens, my grandma with the turkeys, my grandma with the pigs. So I just kind of remember her in her simple ways. And I was very fortunate that I would go visit her a lot, her and my maternal grandmother, and a lot of the women in my life, my aunts and like that. So there's been a lot of women. I was raised with a lot of women, so I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. What about Benita Ramsey? Is she around? Benita?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a woman who inspires me and why?
Yes.
Well, I had put in the chat Audre Lorde, and I put her because she is a activist, a poet, a um, you know, I would say before this is not a title that she held, but a spiritual guru. And I met her when I was in graduate school, and she was just an amazing spirit and encourages, particularly for a role model for Black lesbians, to live their truth. And she wrote some very powerful stories about um, her life, her battle with cancer, her how to dismantle systems of oppression from a place of whole being. And so she inspired me early in my work, in my coming out process, and also in the evolution of my work around LGBTQ um, rights, and very much is a part of why I do what I do. And so she would be one person who inspires me to continue to do the work that I do today. And her work informs my work. And one inspiring, I mean, it's inspiring to me. She was giving a speech. Um, yes, self care is an act of political warfare. I mean, self care is a political action. I mean, is you know it's one of those places where the personal becomes political. Self preservation, and she was really about that. And when she gave a talk at the University of Wisconsin, I was able to spend 3 days sort of as her person, escorting her around the campus and, you know, going to all the meetings with her. And so on her last day, she gave a, when she was giving a talk, she said she wanted to dedicate the talk to the bright light that she had met that week. And the bright light was me. So she called my name out, and I kind of melted into the floor because I was um, totally uh, overwhelmed by the gesture, and that was just the kind of person that she was. She was humble and powerful. You know, he was this famous Black woman. You know, and she she was able to connect with the everyday folk who were running around the campus in such a humane way. And that really had a profound, not that she called my name, but because she took the time to really get to know all of us, all the people that she encountered over those 3 days. And it's just, that was part of her, part of who she was, and part of why it's important to pay, everybody has a story, and to listen to the stories of others.
Okay, beautiful. Benita, thank you for sharing. Anyone else before we go to the last part of the presentation? Anyone else?
Yeah, hi, this is Gabriela with Casa de la Familia. I'll just make it real, hi, hola, buenos días. I'll just make it super brief. I just want to honor, because we just celebrated International Women's Day on March the 8th, and I just want to honor all of the women that are rising up and speaking up for survivors of sexual violence, not just here, but all around the world. So to me, those are the women that are inspiring, that don't give up under immense pressures from the way top to even within their own families. So just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So I'm just gonna.
Okay. Anybody else's?
Okay.
No? Okay. Then I'm gonna pass now to the word to Amins.
Okay. So thank you, Gabriela, for what you said. I think that kind of leads into the next thing I was going to mention. And so I just have it as a call to action. So that is, I guess, on behalf of Women's Month, to find a way to honor women in our lives. So whether that means any parents, grandparents, like maybe reaching out if you haven't reached out in a while. It could also mean volunteering at a women's shelter or homeless shelter, or just anything that you feel can be supportive of women. If that means reading more material about how to protect women, that could be it. But I'm just calling everyone in the committee to find something to kind of honor women this month, you know, and hopefully throughout the rest of the year, but especially this month, it being Women's History Month. So I'm kind of calling all of us to do that, even myself. All right. And I'm going to switch over here real quick. So just any questions for us? Okay. All right. So then, all right. Okay. Well, thank you all so much. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about the wonderful committee. I'm not in Myers anymore, where the committee events usually are, but I do appreciate Lou still contacting me to help her with this presentation. So wherever I can help, I'll be grateful to help wherever I can. So thank you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Amen, St. Luz.